I'd like to call the Charter Review Commission Community Input Forum to order. Roll call.
Palmer.
Here.
Craig.
Here.
Denny.
Here.
DeRue.
Here.
Deep. Kutera.
Here.
Hayek.
Here.
Maliabo.
Here.
Patel.
At this time, I'd like to introduce the commission members who are here this evening. Two have been unable to make it, Mr. John Deeth and Jennifer Patel. But down to my left is Matt Hayek. Next to Matt is Bijou Maliabo. Next to me is Molly Kucera, Vice Chair, Mackenzie DeRue, Jareen Denning, and Susan Craig. So we want to welcome you to the first of two public hearings for the Charter Review Commission. Tonight's forum is intended so that members of the public may share their views about the Iowa City Charter with the Charter Review Commission. Because this is a public meeting and the agenda asks for community comment for any matter related to the Charter, the Commission cannot answer questions or engage in discussion or debate due to open meetings law. If you've got a question about the process, I can tell you that after the public hearings, we will be meeting then in October to hopefully arrive at some consensus and then ultimately be able to forward to the City Council our recommendations. This is an anniversary of sort. It's the 50th. This is the 50-year anniversary of the City Charter, which was 1973 when it was approved. I've got some timeline. It's just interesting for people to know. It was submitted and recommended by the Iowa City Charter Committee on June 22nd, 1973, and accepted as the City Council's proposed Home Rule Charter on July 20th. At the special city election held on November 15th, 1973, the charter was adopted by the voters by a vote of 1,303 yes and 123 no. So we have some history. This is the fifth Charter Review Commission. I've had the pleasure of serving on the very first one, so I've been around a while and I have a little bit of background on this. So I'm looking forward to working with our fellow commissioners. We've had 9 meetings, and I think we've gotten a good start on it. I would ask several things. Would like to have you limit your comments to 3 minutes. The timekeeper is right here. She will be watching this diligently. And my goal is that this be a 1-hour meeting, not to short circuit anything, but we got a presidential debate that I'm sure all of us would like to see. So, but I think we'll have plenty of time for comments. And if you would approach the microphone and please give your name. Who would like to go first?
I made the mistake of sitting up.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like being in the front row of the class.
Rick Dobbins, live on the west side of Iowa City. West is best. So I would like to talk about several things. Mainly I want to talk about checks and balances. When I look at division of council districts, one of the things I like about this commission, and thank you for your service to our city, is that you exist. 10 to 20 years ago it exists. Our city council does have the ability to transform and affect city governance, but I like the fact that citizens can convene at least every 10 years and make some sort of recommendations. I like it because it is all about checks and balances. As far as districts are concerned, I think you could argue that maybe we had some concerns 10 or 20, 30 years ago that perhaps our council did not represent our population or the aspiration of what our population, the city, wanted to have as our representatives. Lately, I think without changing the governance structure, I think our council has changed to show some underrepresented members of our community, people who are younger, Iowa Cityans who are of color, LGBTQ members of the committee. Sometimes you don't have to change something, and it evolves for the better. So for city districts, I might have said something different 10, 20 years ago, but not this time. I think the districts is working. Checks and balances. As Chair Balmer said, in about an hour, we're going to see something that I think the whole world is watching that is truly representative of the importance of checks and balances. We're going to see one person who understands checks and balances. That yes, it's annoying, but understands that humans have faults. And that you need someone to come in and maybe be somewhat annoying and tell you something you don't want to hear. The other person on that podium has no idea about checks and balances, has no idea of human faults and frailties, especially his own. I can't think of a more important time than this night to talk about the importance of checks and balances in our community. I was a council member. I would ask you all to continue to have a strong council system. We have 7 people who work very hard to get on council. They work with each other, and they appoint a mayor amongst themselves. The voters have every 4 years to affect the council members. I would recommend that we don't have a stronger mayor system of government, because the mayor then has to, who knows the mayor better than the council members, the other 6 who work with them. If you don't like what the council members are saying, you can talk to them, you can vote them out in 4 years. But I think especially on this night, the importance of checks and balances and maintaining the current government. Council members work hard. I think it's important to keep their strength, to keep their ability to make the appointment of mayor, for the good of Iowa City. Again, thanks for the service that you guys have done. I know you've worked a lot of hours on this, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to mention that we certainly are entertaining comments on every part of the charter. There are 2 areas that we have spoken about that we will be certainly diving into more thoroughly, and that is the direct election of mayor versus the present system and districts. Those are 2 areas that have been talked about at every charter review that I've been familiar with, and I think we will certainly do justice to that discussion when we get to it. But I would encourage you to certainly weigh in on everything. Who's next?
Do I have to stand up all that time?
3 minutes.
3 minutes, okay, I'm going to go fast. I want to thank you for your service too, because I've been around for a long, long time. And specifically, I want to thank you for your service because I think the way we got it set up works pretty well. The checks and balances are true, the districts are true, but I want to comment on some other Linda and I came to Iowa City in 1970 when I graduated from graduate school. And I told her we'd be here for 3 years and then we'd go someplace nice. And at the end of 2 years, she said, I don't care where you think you're going to go, you're going to do right here, because this is someplace that's pretty nice. I majored in management and organizational behavior. I have a degree in business, I have a degree, an MBA, and I have a doctorate with a double major in business and higher education. And I came here in a few years, I'm getting off my script here, strategic marketing. I worked for about 7 years in the university, and I did strategic marketing, recruiting students and families to come to Iowa City.
Who are you?
Ray Mustin, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Ray Mustin, thank you. And I'm married to Linda Mustin. She's the one that kept me going. In August of 1985, I was asked to take a position to start the ICCAD group. And I met with every mayor and every council and every public, not only in Iowa City, but around all the other towns as well, because we're trying to develop regionalism. And it was a lot of work. And during that time, I learned a lot about councils and mayors and city managers and so forth. During those 54 years that we've lived here, we can identify with 17 mayors, 3 city managers, and others that we've observed during our time here. By the way, I've noticed that there are a few of those mayors that had repeat performances. They were so highly regarded that they were asked to continue on. I believe, from my experience, that responsibility for policy should be left to a group of counselors that really represent the diverse community that we live in. Representative of districts is a good idea. A large participation gives us balance, gives us more effectiveness as organizations in long run. Responsibility for management and implementation of the policy should be with the city manager and the staff, and the council ought to oversight that. The selection of the mayor is best done by equals sharing a total responsibility as a council. Mayor can't do it all by himself anyway, should have a vote, but it's the power of the council as a group that ought to be recognized. My time is up. I want to urge you to keep it like it is.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. I'm sorry, I just can't stand that.
Thank you.
Who's next? Don't be shy.
Good evening. My name is Karen Cubby, and I know that you're not talking about this, but definitely like the council manager form of government, but I do want to suggest a couple of changes that could happen within that form of government. And one of them is a directly elected mayor. In the mid-90s, I was involved in a public power initiative to try to have a municipal electric utility in Iowa City. And one of the things we did was did a scientific poll from a third party, and we asked a lot of questions about local government as well as about the power issue. And one of them was about directly elected mayor. And 87% of the people wanted a directly elected mayor. I believe we can still have a mayor-council form of government and still have the person who is our voice and face be directly elected. So I hope that you will thoroughly discuss that issue. And the other issue is about district seats. So I've been involved in local government through initiative, referendum, running for council, being on the People's Committee to run for council for over 40 years. I know I don't look like I could have done that. But every 2 years, we have to educate the community about if you're a district candidate, you have to live in the district, and during the primary, only those who live in the district can vote. But during a general election, everyone in town can vote. So candidates spend a good portion of their campaign energy talking about our form of government. And if for 40 years it's still a problem, it's not the right process. And if we continue to have 3 districts, I know that people are concerned that if everyone votes for them, then they won't become parochial and only care about their district. But if we have true districts for the candidates' place of residency, their voters in the primary and the general, we still have 4 at large. That is the fail-safe in case people get parochial about it. So that's one reason to do it, because people have to be educated for decades about our system. The second reason is it's easier to run in a true district, and so it opens it up for other kinds of people who don't have the resources or the time to campaign throughout the whole community, but would have the time to campaign in a district. And it may provide us a even more diverse set of leadership. The third thing that I wanted to say was that there's this really lovely sentence that you've all added, and I hope you keep it in. It's in section 501 about the council shall consider the available demographics of board and commission members and applicants in making their appointments in an effort to make appointments reflective of the community. That is a lovely sentence and protects us from what the state has done around gender equity, but makes it even more broad. So thank you.
Thank you. And that it's a good point. We have made some suggested changes. We haven't formalized those yet. But before you leave this evening, I'd invite you to grab one of the proposed charter review right back there that we've been working on, and you can look at it. So we have been working. Who's next? I realize that we've somewhat fly below the radar in our commission, and I have to encourage people to take note and become involved, so it's a process. We will have one more public hearing. That's going to be Saturday, September 28th at 10:30 at the Civic Center, Harvard Hall. That's a non-Iowa football weekend, so that was chosen for that reason. If the Hawks better get back on track. So.
Yes, they should.
Anybody else like to address the commission? Well, not seeing anybody, then I have a motion to adjourn.
Move to accept?
Moved by Casera. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you for coming.